Have you ever left a social setting and thought, was I really being myself just now, or did I become a different person around everyone? You are in a social environment. Someone speaks with a lot of energy, and you become energetic too. Someone acts distant, and you immediately pull yourself together. Someone seems like they might not like you, and you become more agreeable, more polite, more careful. Then, when you get home, you notice this. Was I really myself today, or did I become someone else around everyone? If this happens to you, it does not mean you are fake. Your mind may have learned this. If I adapt, I will be safe. If I don't bother anyone, I will be loved. If I read the room well, I won't be rejected. I have talked about social masking before. Today, I want to talk about a concept that makes this even more visible: being a social chameleon. This means a person constantly changes shape depending on the environment they are in. They adjust themselves according to the other person's tone of voice, expectations, emotions, and facial expressions. From the outside, this may look like simply being adaptable, but inside it can be very exhausting because you are not just having a conversation, you are scanning the room at the same time. You change yourself according to how everyone else seems to be. You are not just speaking, you are carrying the emotional atmosphere of the room. If someone is sad, you feel like you need to take care of them. If someone is tense, you feel like you need to stay calm. If someone is distant, you feel like you need to be more careful, especially if, while growing up, you had to constantly adjust yourself according to the emotional atmosphere in your family. You may start to believe that adapting to the room is your responsibility. Will I be misunderstood if I say this? Did I talk too much? Are they getting bored of me? How should I act right now so nothing goes wrong? If this feels familiar, like this video. That helps me understand which topics resonate with you so I can create more of them. You can also subscribe to the channel for practical psychology content. Now let's break a very important false belief. This behavior is not always a lack of character, and it is not always not being yourself. This can be a survival strategy developed by the nervous system. Your brain is not trying to sabotage you. It may be trying to protect you, especially if, in the past, you were very afraid of being criticized, rejected, excluded, or misunderstood. Your mind may not perceive social environments as safe spaces, but as spaces where you need to be careful. And if you were often in a tense environment, you may have learned this path in order to survive. If I stay calm, I can calm the environment. If I act according to people, nothing will go wrong. You may have learned this belief. This is where the brain comes in. In moments like this, your brain is not just having a conversation, it is constantly trying to regulate itself. The prefrontal cortex works over time, asking, what should I say? How should I appear? How should I act right now? And if the amygdala perceives rejection as a threat, even a small silence can feel like a danger signal. Someone's facial expression changes. You immediately tense up. A message gets a late reply. You start looking for what you did wrong. Someone acts cold in a social setting. You try even harder to adapt. But here is the issue. The mind does not produce reality. It produces interpretations. Someone's silence may not actually mean they dislike you. Someone being distracted may not mean you did something wrong. Someone's distance may not mean you are worthless. In other words, someone else's behavior does not define you. You only think it does. The mind fills in the blanks based on what it has learned from past experiences. Without realizing it, you begin to regulate yourself in every environment in order to be accepted. After a while, this starts to affect not only your behavior, but also your sense of identity. Because when you spend a long time changing shape according to other people's expectations, your inner voice starts to weaken. What do I want? What do I feel? What do I actually think? Do I really feel comfortable here? These questions move into the background because the priority is no longer expressing yourself. The priority becomes not disturbing the environment. Being acceptable becomes more important than being yourself. And this is where the deepest cost of being a social chameleon begins. A person can become alienated from themselves while adapting to everyone else. And perhaps the strongest mirror sentence is this: you regulated yourself so much in order not to lose people that at some point you started to lose contact with yourself. This sentence may feel heavy, but I am saying it not to blame you, but to help you notice it, because understanding your inner world is the first step toward change. The goal here is not to say, from now on, I will never adapt. Adaptability is a healthy skill. But when you constantly adapt, especially if it means ignoring your own boundaries and needs, it is no longer just a skill, it becomes a burden. So what can you do when you notice this? I will give you a very small practice. After your next social interaction, ask yourself only three questions. 1. Where did I act like myself today? 2. Where did I over-adjust myself in order to be accepted? 3. What did I actually need in that moment? These questions may seem simple, but they teach your brain something new. I don't only have to read other people, I can also read myself. Because self-discovery does not begin with a huge change. It begins when you notice this. Am I really being myself right now, or am I trying to stay safe? When you begin to understand yourself without blaming yourself, a new space opens inside you. And in that space, there are not only other people's expectations, you are there too. Because feeling better does not begin by adapting to everyone else. It begins by including yourself in that adaptation.